Well, good afternoon. We'll go ahead and get started here. It's a couple minutes after, but anybody still coming can hop on. Just like before, we'll go through some housekeeping stuff before we get started here on talking about the Gen 4 Command Center or Gen 4 4640. First off, want to keep it informal. Anybody has any question, feel free on the bottom of your screen there. You can just click on your mute, the little symbol of a phone down there. You can click on that and it'll take the line out of it and you can talk. Or also down there towards the middle, you have chat. And so you can go into that and you can chat with either everybody or just a Site and Stricker host. And we'll get any questions answered. So just feel free to interrupt me with any questions or comments or just whatever. Want to make this over whatever you have questions about, what you need to know. So also, if you have not been registered for the coupon yet, make sure to go into that chat down there on the bottom and type in your name and your address to that Site and Stricker host or to everybody, and Gina will get you listed and get you signed up for that coupon. So that's covered. Like I said, just interrupt if you have anything. We'll go ahead and get started here. We'll keep it within the hour worth of content, but I'm going to stay afterwards and answer any questions, go over anything we need to go over on this screen. So Gina, if you could switch over here, and I'll share my screen. Okay, so today we are going over the 4640 or 4600 Gen 4 displays. So just to start out with, I want to just kind of go over briefly just the what that is. So the Gen 4 display lineup. And so first off, we have displays that are in tractors that are built into the armrest, or the new 700 combines, or some of the new sprayers. The new sprayers have it as well. So most of those are going to have a 4600 command center. So it's a Gen 4 is the software, and so 4600 is the model. And so that's a 4600, and it'll do everything. There are a few 6Rs and maybe even some 7Rs that actually have a smaller screen. It's a 7-inch screen instead of all the rest of them are 10-inch screens. And then it's a 4100, so it's a smaller screen. It does not do as much. It's only auto track, so it will not document, will not section control, or any of that extra stuff. So it's kind of like, functionality wise, it's like the old GS3 command centers or the 1800 screen. So there's not very many of them out. I just want to make everyone aware of that. If you're looking at equipment ever, that's definitely something to look out for on those 6Rs or the 7Rs. And then we also have the universal display. So the 4600 and the 4100 are built into that machine, and they stay in that machine. And then we have a 4640, which is a universal screen that can be moved around. And those can be moved to machines that have a 4600 or 4100 command center, or they can be moved to another machine without a screen already in it. So just wanted to run down that real quick, kind of make sure everybody's on the same page on what we're talking about. Sometimes I'll say 4600, sometimes I'll say 4640, sometimes I'll say Gen 4. It's really all the same thing in all reality, for most purposes. So I've done this a few times before, and so if I go over something repetitive, I'm sorry, but I mean, I just want to go over this homepage. On a 4640, the homepage really, this is the biggest thing, the homepage really gets you nearly everywhere you need to be. We can set this homepage up with buttons that show us information and also take us to where we need to go to change that information. And so it's makes it really easy to use. So first off, we're on our homepage, middle of the screen here. We have our map. The pink line here, the seal has a boundary on it. So we have our pink line of our boundary. We would have auto track lines. Everything's on here, okay? So on the 2630, you have actually two maps on that screen. One is just guidance, and it will show coverage, so it'll paint blue, but then your other map, it can show guidance lines, and it just kicked me out of the simulator. So I will, oh, I'm still here. So it will show guidance lines if you set it to, and it will also go in and it will show you like your rates and things like that. So you hit that down there on the bottom, the dots and the eyes. So right here, it shows shared coverage and overlap, all of that stuff there. That's what we're working with right here. And if my simulator lets me, I can hit this button here to the right, and I can change between coverage or rate or whatever I want to show on the map. So then, while we wait for that to decide if it's going to work or not, on the right-hand side, we have guidance over here, okay? And so here we can set a track. We have our track spacing. We can click on that, and we can change our track spacing. We also have our shifts over here. So here, let's see. Yep, let's go ahead and get back out of that. So this is where we would go in on our legend there. We would select what we're viewing on our map. And so then over here on the right, we can shift our track, or we have our shift increment down here. We can push on that and change that. On the left, we have location. And so that's going to be our client farm and field. So we can have this small like this and just show our farm and our field. Or we can make it larger to where it actually shows us our client, our farm, and our field. And then all we have to do to change that, if my simulator is going to decide to do it, is click on it. And I'm going to try to do something that might, oh, there we go. Perfect. You click on it, we go into here, and it's going to show us our client farm and field. We can go into new field down here on the bottom. While we wait for it to exit out, we can edit our field names. We can edit what client or farm they're associated with. Everything's right here. The same thing with client or farm. You can just go down to the bottom, hit the yellow plus, and add a new one to it. You can also, when you hit the pencil to the right, you can also delete that particular client farm or a field. So let's try to go back into our client farm and field here. Okay, so this is our page here that it shows us what we're closest to, our South 40. It shows us a picture of our field and everything. We can go down here to view all, and this is where we can get into our actual list of where you can actually select your client, your farm, and then which field you're in. We'll go through that stuff all later. So what field you're in, okay? We can also go here to new field. We can type something in here. Let's do and select what client and farm we want, and we'll save it. Okay, so we'll go with that, although we'll lose our boundaries. So there's our location. We have also on the left-hand side, we have a couple totals here, and I'll go into depth on those more if we have time here later. And then we also have our next track, our swap track here. So that's our home page. On the very bottom here, actually first I want to go to the top. So on the top here we have the name of our home page. So this one's guidance run page. We can switch pages, our home pages here on the top right. We can go left and right. So this one here is our default tractor run page. And so we can actually name these. And if we click on that bar, if it's going to work, if we click on that bar and you're not in the simulator, it's going to actually come up with a list of all your home pages that you have. So you don't have to scroll through every single page to get to the one that you're wanting. You can actually just click on that bar and then click on the page you want if you have several pages. Also on the top here, we have what's usually on the bottom right of a 2630. We have our time, and then we have right here we have our satellite information. So we're running SF2 with 3 bars. It's all the way full. We're good. This also tells us more information on cellular if we're running an MTG or JD Link. It also tells us about sharing and some other things. So we can click on that and we can come to this page. So here we have our 3000 receiver, our accuracy, some more detail basically. And if we wanted, we can just click on that and it'd take us straight to our receiver, okay? We'll go back into here. So our MTG is in here, so we can look at our cell strength, our storage, and we can change our date and time and everything all from right there. Okay? So that's the top bar. So now if we go down to the bottom bar, here we have this bar down here is actually something that we can customize. So initially, like coming from a 2630, I didn't realize, like I figured these were set icons down here, but these icons can be changed. So on here we have setup, and there's some other options here. That's just what the simulator has, and pending time we'll go through that as well. So we have setup, our work. So on a Gen 4, what we're going to be using for terminology for our tasks is work. So if we're planting, that is what our work is. So our work recording, so on a 2630 it's recording source or recording state. On here it's work. So it's set to auto here and it's currently off. And so I can't change that. I can click on it, it brings up the window, but since it's set to auto, I can't change that. Actually, I can go over here and click a button. So here, now it's on. So we've got the red light and it's green for on, okay? If that wasn't auto, you can change that to manual if you want to do that manually, and it's that button is what you're going to push to turn your work on and off. Also, we have auto track here. We can turn our auto track, and we're not ready yet. On and off right there. Guidance, quick line, swap track. So all of those things we'll go over in the guidance when we go over the guidance stuff. iTech, and then ISOBUS, help and menu, okay? So I will touch on ISOBUS here real quick. So ISOBUS is going to be anything almost that would show up in the menu item icon in a 2630. And so if I click on that, we have that same sort of menu or menu icon as a 2630 down here on the bottom right. So right now we're on the receiver, but we also have our planter on here. So this is a normal C-Star planter. It's not the C-Star 4 electric drive model year 18 or newer planter, and so it's going to show up under here. Same with our receiver. Same with a GS2 AccuDepth or rate controller. They're all going to be right there under the ISOBUS. So you click on it and you get the same layout as you would on a 2630, just because that is what that particular controller is built on. Okay, so all of that is similar to what you're used to, and it's in that ISOBUS VT, and there's another place for that, but this is a quick way to get there. I mean, you saw earlier how I got to the receiver from that bar up here at the top. So there's multiple ways to get to things here. And then help is pretty crucial on this screen, in the fact that it's so good. It tells you so much information about what you're using, and I actually used help because I haven't used like shared coverage on this screen yet. I actually used the help in this screen this morning because I was not 100% sure, and I wasn't going to take the time to actually set up two machines and actually do the sharing out on the lot here. Instead of that, I went through the help, and it actually told me everything I needed to know to talk about it today. So pending you asking me some crazy question that I haven't even thought of on shared coverage or that stuff, like it had all of that information on it. So it's very helpful, for lack of better words. And I'll show you that as well when we have time here. So let's go ahead and go to guidance. And so when we go to guidance, we can go different ways. And I'm going to use this guidance button here on the bottom, because that's just going to take us to our main guidance page, okay? So when we're in here, we have our map. It's going to show us the exact same thing as that map on our home page, because remember, a 4640, 4600 only has one map, and it contains just whatever you want. We can change the view of it here, how you want to see it. We can zoom out and zoom in, all of that stuff right there. So then for guidance, what we're going to do is on the right hand side here, we're going to go to set track. So that's just the same thing. Set track 0 is what it shows on the 2630 or 2600. We don't have any tracks here. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a new track, but you can push it there, you can push it down here on the bottom left, well, sorry, there or on the bottom left. So we're going to make a track. So I'm just going to do something easy here. A plus heading. Go through. Yes. I'm going to go ahead and name this, and then I'll go back through that screen. I'm going quick, I'm sorry. And then we can tell it what field we want it to associate to. Not that you're probably ever going to change that, but I'm going to put that in there. Okay, so to go to that, well, let's go ahead and make this track, and then I'll go through that. So went through there. It's north-south is the track, so I'm going to just do a plus heading. We'll go ahead and set the A here. We can change the heading to 90, and it's going to show sideways on the map, hey, I'm not doing that right. I want to go north and south. Change it back to 0, and it's going to show the way that I'm pointing north here, so it's going to show that. So we can do whatever we need to there. We'll hit done. And so what happens when we hit done on here is it automatically goes, and on the left-hand side here, it goes ahead and enables auto steer. So instead of having to hit the steering wheel button to enable it, it's already done. Like we could go ahead and turn it off, but there's no sense to. So basically our lines are made, it's enabled. All you have to do is hit the resume switch, and there's a little bar that comes down from the top here that says that it's the line's made. It's here. Well, yeah, the line's made. It's been enabled. All you have to do is hit resume to auto steer. So then from there we could shift. We could do whatever we need to, and we're good to go. So I'm going to go back to go through how to make a track again. I want to do that anyways, but I'll try and go a little slower. So slow me up if I'm going too quick here. So I'll go into set a track, and so right here, our additional track says no additional tracks found. We're using this one on top. This is the one we're currently using. So north-south is our current track. It shows our method, A plus heading. Here, that's what this little icon is. And it shows it here on the map. It shows me where I'm at, where the track was made, and some information down here on the below there. But it says no additional tracks are found. So here we're going to make another track, and we're going to add it to this list. Okay, so let's go in here, make a new one on the bottom left. Let's do another A plus heading. Actually, let's do a Yeah, let's do another A+ heading. So I'm going to do this one as east-west. We'll go and do that. We'll hit OK. We're back here to this page again. So we'll go ahead and set our A. We'll do a heading of 90. Oops.
There's 4 on each pipe that runs across.
And we'll hit done. And here we'll have this message on the top. Auto track enabled. Press the resume switch to activate. So we're ready to roll. Except it's going to take us on a 90-degree corner here. So we have 2 tracks made now. So if we go back into this set track, here's this one on the list. We're not using this north-south right now. If I change to that, it shows it on the map here. If we go back to our east-west, what we're currently on, it'll leave it there. So let's change over to this north-south. We can bring that up, and we're back. Now,
You get the swap on that.
yep, on the left bottom here, it's going to tell us our swap track. So on a 2630, swap track was a feature that we could do is a little bit, like I used it a little bit. I know some guys used it a little bit, but you had to go in, you had to get it set up and everything. On this screen, it is just there, okay? So what it's going to do is all the tracks that you have selected here, so we're in this field, so we have north-south and we have east-west here. So it's going to swap between those tracks. So and it's going to say what your next track name is. So if we go here and we hit swap, it's just going to change back and forth. And so if you have in-row boundary or in-row adaptive curves, or in this screen we can also do a boundary track. Wish I would have done this guidance on a field with a boundary. I could have shown you that. But we can do those things, and then we can just swap back and forth. So if you're going to be swapping back and forth between lines, it's really easy just to do it right here.
You said a boundary track. What is that?
So I had a question on boundary track on what that is. So let me switch fields here, and I'll just walk through it real quick. We'll switch to one with a boundary on it. We'll go back into set our track, and I don't think we're actually in this field. Oops, canceled that. Okay, so yeah, let's try forward into this field. We're planting on the road. Okay, so we'll go in this field so it will look a little better here. We'll stop. Okay, so we're in the field now. We'll go over here, set a track. We're going to make a new one. And over here on the side, so this is all your straight track options. So usually we're using this A+B. Sorry, I clicked on it. Usually we're using this A+B here, or A+ heading. You can do an auto B, but there's an easier way to do that than going all the way in here, and I'll show you that. A lat long. I mean, all of these options here, and there's some extra ones here, these access ones. If you have questions on those, I can go through those afterwards, but I'm not going to have time to go through those in the hour time frame here. We have curve track. So this is where our adaptive curves are, just like a 2630 and our AB curve. So, I mean, same thing there. Circled track if you want to do circles for a pivot. And then boundary track. So this is pretty sweet, I think. And I went over this last week, so if you were here for that, I'm not going to go too deep into it. But basically, and the reason I went over it last week is because we were talking RTK. This is crucial that we have good boundaries set. What it's going to do is it's going to take, we're on the North 40 farm, it's going to take our boundary here, and it's going to make guidance lines to plant up to that boundary. Okay, and so we'll go ahead and just do next. We'll name it end rows, and we'll save it. And let me get turned here. We'll turn that recording off. I went in the field a little too far. Okay, So what we have is the boundary to our field is here on the right. And so we have these guidance lines here that actually are going to fill that boundary in. They go alongside of it. This is not like driving an actual tractor. It's a little bit crazy, but I want to show you, it's pretty cool. I want to show you what it looks like. So we're going to turn our auto track on, and I'm going to resume. And it's going to drive us right along that boundary. And now, granted, our track spacing is messed up according to our implement here, but if we had the track spacing set right, or if we had a 30-foot implement here, we'd be driving right alongside the boundary. And so if we go to set track, it shows our tracks here. It's a little bit zoomed out. Let me show you this way. And let me zoom out here. So you can see all the way around this field, there's going to be tracks. If I can zoom out enough. I told you this would be fast, but I might have lied. So we can see here we've got tracks all the way around this field. So it's pretty sweet when you have boundaries to be able to do that. So,
that first track would be whatever your width of your implement is inside that boundary.
yeah, so that first track, the question was, first track would be whatever your implement width is inside that boundary, yes. So like, it's set to 30 feet right here on our track spacing. Right there we can, well, let's change this. Oops. That'll work. So we can go into here and we can change this to 40 feet. I actually think this is set to 60-foot planter. And it would drive to where the implement is right on your boundary, the edge of your implement. And so that's why it's crucial to have RTK, because if you're not running RTK, your boundary is going to be shifting and you're going to end up potentially in the tree or 10 feet out in your field or who knows what. But good boundaries on RTK, it's a pretty sweet deal, I think, to be able to have this and use this. So basically it's auto steer for your inrows. So any more questions on any of that? I'm going to quit this. Let's go back. Oops, sorry. We're going to go back into guidance here. One thing I do want to go into is these buttons on the top. I'll go ahead and go into there. And so we have an eye, that's going to be our help. And we have a arrow pointing to a dot, and that's always setup. So if we click on setup here, okay, for settings. So when we do that, we have on the left, both of those buttons really take us to the same place, truthfully. But with the settings button up there, it tells us that we do have settings in here that we can change. So on the left here, we have our different options. So we can learn the about, we don't mess with usually, but our help is in here in our settings. So on auto track settings, if you have, let me go back out of here. We'll turn our guidance off. Oh, good grief. Yep. Now I did it. If you turn your guidance off, your guidance page is going to be, we're not going to let that do that. I'm going to just restart this deal. If you go through and have that guidance, the master off, then everything on your guidance page is pretty much going to be grayed out. So you want to go up there, go into the settings, and you want to make sure that that is turned on. I don't ever turn it off usually, truthfully. So it's really not something you need to worry about. If you're just going to leave it on, just leave it on. It's not a big deal. Yeah. So we'll go into here, and I'll share my screen again. The lovely, I think that's right. Nope, that is not what you want to see. The fun of using the simulator. Finding all the quirks. Okay, so we're back here to our home page, and I'm going to stop this thing from driving. And so on the bottom here, I'll go through these buttons real quick. So we already went into guidance. Let me show you the rest of this without killing the screen, hopefully. So we won't turn the guidance master off because we'll kill the screen, but we have our implement guidance here, if we're going to use that, turn indicators. All of our general settings are in here, so our tracking tones, notifications that we change our working with, those are always good. Tram lines, that's something we can talk about if you want to go more in depth into that later on, after we go through everything else. Light bar, if you want to mess with the light bar, you can change the step size, what you want each one of those lights to mean. Shared signal is in here, and so our curve tracks in here, our adaptive curves recording source, we always set this to work state, okay? It's actually documentation on a 2630, but we want this, the adaptive curves, to turn on whenever you have that implement down. That's how we set that up usually. So, and then advanced settings to fine tune your steering and all. So that is all in here in this settings, okay? So it'll take you to all of that. I'll show you this help just a little bit. It's really handy. Anything blue in here are things that we can go in and learn more information about. So we click on that and it takes us into more information on that particular thing. We have icons listed here. Like I say, this is what I used this morning on figuring out shared signal on this screen. So it's pretty sweet. So unless there's more questions on that, I'm going to go over some more guidance things. Make sure to chat or interrupt me here if you have more questions in that guidance page. I do want to go over this quick line real quick. If I push on this quick line, it's going to do an A with an auto B. So quick line recording in progress. Please drive 50 feet. Previous line will be deleted or whatever it said. I don't remember. But basically, we click that and we drive forward. So I'm going to drive forward here. It's going to count down. We could set a new A here if we wanted to, but there's really no reason to do that unless you know you've got a bad spot where you started. We're going to drive 50 feet. It's going to automatically set our B, get a line, turn our steering on. It comes up with this message. All we have to do is hit resume and we're auto steering. So here's our auto track pie here. We're already auto steering. So if you're going to use A plus auto B, this is really sweet to do that. It makes this so much easier. So also we have swap track down here. It'll change us between the lines that we have options for. So it's also here on the side. And like I said, this is just a default page. We can change all of this, and pending time, we can go through some of that. Probably won't get to it today, but can if you want to stay afterwards and ask for me to, I can definitely go through that stuff. So we'll go into setup here real quick. When we go into setup, this is how basically you're going to set up between operations. If you're changing from tillage to planting, if you're changing implements, if you're changing varieties, everything is done here. So we have our location here, and it's the same thing as on the home page. So I don't need to go through that again unless you want me to go through that. Same thing there. Our equipment, it's connected to a tractor that's communicating with it, so it knows what it's on. It's not detecting an implement, and so what we can do is just push on that, and we'll add an implement. That's cool. And okay, so let me show you that. So we'll go into there, and it's grayed out. Usually on a 2630, it's grayed out. You can't push on it. and that's that. You got to figure out. You have to figure out, why can I not go in there? And so I didn't even know this screen was doing this right here. I knew it in other places, but if you look at this, like, it's telling you why it cannot do this. So new implement cannot be added while auto track is engaged. So, well, no, duh. That makes sense. I didn't realize I had it engaged. We'll go out here and let me just turn the steering wheel, or I can just turn it off here. We can get out of auto track, go back into our setup, and we'll go ahead and add our implement. So that's really handy about this screen, is there's so many things that it just tells you what's wrong and you go and fix it. But sometimes you can even just click on the warning message and it takes you right to the place to change that and fix the problem. So we don't have any implements set up here, but this will be where all your implements are listed. And we'll just go down here and make a new one. So it's new profile. It is not, let's not do a rate controller. We can if we want to. And let's just call this 2210. Let's say it's a field cultivator. So we'll put that in. We've named it. No rate controller. Operations. We're doing tillage. So we'll go here and we'll say it's tillage. If we have, let's say we're spraying some Treflan or something with that, we can add a liquid product application, or like if you're seeding with it or whatever you're doing, like you can do multiple things here. And this minus sign over here, we can just take that out. Okay, I want to do this just to play with it and see if we can break it. Product application liquid, let's do that. Then working with, here we have feet rows, so we can go in and we can do how many rows and row width. We'll just do, let's do 30 feet for the fun of it. 30 feet wide, a working point, so we're back 15 feet, let's say, and it says here kind of what it is, what we're measuring from the pivot to where it engages the ground. Work recording, this is going to be how it knows whether we're up or down. So on a newer tractor, obviously, we're going to have SCVs as an option in here, or PTO, or 3-point. We'll just, actually, let's do manual here. Our connection type, here's where we're going to select how we're hooked up, and let's just pick drawbar. I want to go through and set up a plan or two with you and show you that. Let's just not do that. Let's go into here, rear 3-point. So if you have a 2-point planter, what we're going to do, instead of on a 2630, you had to select pivot 2-point, rear pivot 2-point. You can just go here to 3-point and you just say whether it's pivoting or not. So this would be a planter. And then you throw in your offset here that you would normally put, and let's say it's 3.5 feet. So instead of doing 3 feet 6 inches, I'm just going to do 3.5 here, and it's going to fill it in the way that it needs to be. All right, so then when I go back in it, it'll say 3 feet 6 inches. Dimensions here, we can go in and we can enter in the dimensions. So this is from the pivot to the wheels. So let's just say it's 15 from the hitch to the wheel. No rear connection, we'll just leave that. And let's not have a receiver on this just for the sake of time. We'll save it, and it's in our list here. Okay, so this is what we're using in our tractor and our field cultivator. We can hit that minus and take it out. We go into add implement, and there it is. Okay, so that's how that list is formed, and that's where that is. So that's all of our implements. That's all set up. Our work summary, here we have two things going on. We have tillage and we have product application. So if we go in, we can click on either one of these. If I click on tillage, we can put in our depth. Oh, not 2 feet. That's a bad idea. Let's do 3 inches. Okay, so we're set here. We're 3 inches deep. Let's do our product application. Let's put in a product. Do a herbicide, sure, let's incorporate atrazine with our field cultivator. Throw a rate in there. That's way too much. That'll work. Okay, so everything's set up here. We can go to OK, and we're good to go. All right, we want to go in here and change something. We can go back into setup. We can go in and we can clear our coverage on this screen. So let's say you planted, you quit for the day, and you come back. You're running SF1, so everything's drifted, and you're going to have to shut your section control off to start planting again. We can just go into here, go to new work, and it'll clear your coverage. It'll ask want to make sure that that's what you actually want to do, and it's cleared your coverage. Okay, none of your blue is on there anymore. So that's all right in here. We can also clear our coverage and make new work down here. Just right there, new work. It'll clear your coverage and you're good to go. It does have that warning message because it's real easy to get to. Want to make sure that's what you actually want to do. Also, if you're using shared coverage, what we'll do is we'll go into this work list. And so this screen right now, it's going off of just history. So this is just operations that's been done to this field. Obviously, there's nothing in here right now. Whenever you're using shared coverage, then we're going to have a work history and we're going to have shared work up here on the top instead of just work history. You go into there and there'll be a list of what's been done or what's going on in that field. If you're the second machine, you click on it and you go. Okay, that's going to take care of that and get you on that shared coverage. So that's where that is. I won't go into this settings manager. It's really cool, but it's I won't go into that. So any questions on that? No. I do want to go into menu here and spend all the time just on the home page and get everything done. But if we go into menu, we just have 3 tabs here on the left, okay? Machine settings, applications, and system. So this is the simulator is for a tractor that has a Gen 4 in it, a 4600. So we have the machine information in here and some settings for the machine. Applications is where we're going to be at for all the precision stuff. I mean, everything's in here. I do want to touch on system first just because it's shorter. But in here in system, this is where our files are, our software, all of that stuff is in here, okay? So we can go in, change the date and time. We can go to the diagnostic center. And this is where you're going to have our trouble codes are in here. And so on like a newer tractor, this is where you get your trouble codes, all right? And there's also messages in here, just not on the simulator. So that's here in menu, system, diagnostic center, our display and sound. We can change our brightness and sound, all of that. File manager. And this screen is not set up with an MTG, so we're not using wireless data transfer right now on the simulator. So we'll go ahead and go into here, but it's not going to have all of the information. So here on the left, we have data sync, import, export, and delete. So data sync is going to be our wireless data transfer. So automatically sync work data. Everything's going to be right here. It says we're not ready. We can go to diagnostics and we have MTG information here, and down here on the bottom is telling us everything that has to be met in order for this to happen. And it's saying MTG connection must be active. And so obviously, like I said, we're not connected to an MTG, but here again, it's telling us exactly what's wrong and what needs to be met in order for this to work. Also, our wireless export log is here. So this is the same place in 2630 to see what files have been sent or not sent, or to resend a file. If we go to import, we can import from reseed files, which is Operations Center, or import from USB. You would just go to next. We'll see how deep we can go here. We can't. We'll try that on export. So we go to export. we have a few different options here. So you can go in and export all data to USB drive. So this is going to be exporting everything. So probably what you're normally going to do. But when we go into here, we can pick and choose some stuff. So like if we don't want to get the guidance lines out of here or the boundaries, maybe we do want to implement profiles. We made that tillage tool. We can keep that. And maybe setup data. And then work data. So this is going to be our documentation. Work is documentation or work is recording, either one of those. That's what work is. So we can go ahead and export that. And so we don't have to export everything under the sun here. Also, if we go to custom export, we can export to a USB drive, and we can go in and we can select a specific field that we want to export data from. Okay? So if you have a test plot in a field and you want to export that to a flash drive because your seed guide's right there ready to take it when you're harvesting, you can export only that one field where that's not something we had the ability to do before. When you go in there, you select that field. Also, you go through the same thing here where you can select what you want to export, and so just work data for that one field will get that job done. So that's kind of nice that we can go in there and we can do that. So then also we can go into here and clear data here to clean the screen off. So that's file manager, language and units, user and access. We can lock the screen down to where you can change it to an operator, and an operator wouldn't be able to change everything under the sun, only what you want to pick and choose that they can change. Also, software manager is here, and this is where our updates are and our activations. So with this screen, with the new update, after they've been updated to the new update, we can check online for updates. So we can download updates from the MTG, from the cell modem, and it's all done over the air through the cell, and I actually did that yesterday or the day before on a tractor here. I updated the screen and the receiver that way, so it's kind of nice. You could go ahead and download the updates as you're planting or whatever, and then apply, like actually install them later. Here are activations. It's a little different. It says our status here, and this one's blue. So if we click on that, it says our demo is on. So we can turn that on or off, and it says we have 14 out of 15 hours. And then this green one down here are basics, active. So we have active, and we have demo, and then we have expired. It'll be gray. All right. And everything in there. And we can go down here. We can get online activations. You can check online for a new activation, or we can go to details, and that's going to show us our serial number and our challenge code and our confirmation code that we'll need to get you an activation. And then we can enter the code in right there. So that's where that's at. We can look and see what our version information is, which I guess on here it's not doing that. But it'll list our versions. There's a help file, there's a Gen 4 OS, everything's in there. So let's go to applications real quick. I mean, this is where our auto track is, calculator, our equipment's in here, fields and boundaries are in here, our ISO bus is in here. The same as on the home page, and then on that quick button down on the bottom. Our layout manager was in here, right here. Mapping. I mean, everything that we're used to is in here. Okay, so let's go into section control real quick. If we go into here, this is a pretty big change. If we turn our section control on, we can turn headlane control on and off to where it's gonna, nobody really uses this that I know of, but we can have it to where it uses a boundary to not plant. Let's say you want 2 passes around your field and you do the inside first and then you do the headlands last. so you're not driving over what you planted. You can turn this on, and let's say you have a 40-foot planter, so you can do an 80-foot pass around the field that you don't want to plant. So your clutches will shut off, even though there's not coverage there. Also, we can, this is real nice, I love this part right here, we can turn off the use of section control based off of boundaries. So if you're running SF1 or SF2, even SF3, and you have boundaries, you can still use section control, leave it on, just uncheck this and it won't turn off when you're outside that boundary.
There's a question.
Yes, there is a question.
If you delete previous work,
If you delete previous work, can you view the work that you deleted? Okay, so if you go into here and you select a new work, you're not actually going to be deleting anything, okay? Yeah, you delete the coverage on your screen, and you can see this interior boundary I just made here, sorry. But you're not deleting anything on the screen, it's just deleting what it's showing here. And so if we go into setup and we go to work list, this work history, it's going to show up right here. So you can always go back into that and you can actually add to that work, and you can also view it. So yes, you can go back in and you can see it, and you can even go back and start working off of that again. So even if you do accidentally hit that, go into new work, hit OK, and whoops, you're cleared off, you can go back into it there. Is there another question? I mean, we're pretty close to time, and I hate to go too long here. Be mindful of everyone's time. I can go through, I'd kind of like to go through Layout Manager, but if you need to leave at 3, don't worry about it. Go ahead and go. We're recording this. We'll have it available. So feel free to do whatever you need to leave, and we'll send out a recording once we get that all done. So thank you for attending, though. It's a little bit, it's getting kind of sunny outside here now, but it was a little drearier this week than it was last week. Last week was pretty hard. We had the window or the door open a little bit just because it was so nice outside. It kind of stunk to be inside here. But just want to thank you for coming, and feel free to stick around as long as you want. We're going to stay, and we're going to restart my simulator here, I guess. And stick around and ask questions, and we'll go through some more stuff. And I'm going to go through this Layout Manager first, just to walk through that on making new home pages once it comes back up. So thanks, and if you can stick around, that's great. If not, that's great as well. We'll get this started back up. It was nice that it lasted most of the time. Yep. Okay. So on Layout Manager, you can see on our home page here, like, oh, yep, gotta go through those warnings. You can see we have some gray area on the screen that's not being used on this page. Same on this page over here. We've got a spot here in the middle that's not being used. And then also we've got these things up here that are just kind of repetitive, saying gallons per hour. We can go in and actually change those if you want those on there. But let's go into our menu, applications, and Layout Manager. So it's a little bit complicated, but once you go through it and see what's going on here, I think you'll understand it, and it adds a ton more flexibility to what we're doing here. So on the left-hand side, we have active sets, which are the run pages that you're actually using, okay? It's the ones that you have selected. And then you have shortcut bars, and then you have all run pages, okay? So basically, if you're going to start from scratch, start at the bottom and go up. So if we go here, this is going to be all of our run pages that are available, okay? So this is not necessarily what we have selected for our active set for what we're actually using. But we can go into here and let's copy like our guidance run page, our default tractor. Those are going to be ones that are set and we can't change. But if we go into here, we can hit this copy button here. We can rename it guidance. And then we have our home page here, what we're going to be using. So let's say, hey, we don't ever use SwapTrack. So you can click whatever you want to change or delete or move. You can click and drag it and move it. Or if you have it selected, we can just remove that entirely, okay? And get it out of there. So let's say, hey, we want to get all of this stuff out. We'll move this over. So then we have our extra space. We can go down here to the bottom left to add module. And then we can go in and we have our menu page, okay? So our machine settings, application, system. If they're grayed out, they don't have any run page options. But if we go into applications on the simulator here, we do. So let's go down to fields and boundaries here. And I'll do like I was saying about the client farm field one. Let's go and add another module. Let's see, what are our options here? Let's add section control. Actually, I don't know that we can. Nope, those are all bars. For our sections, we can go to mapping. We already have a map, but we can add a smaller map if we want. Whatever you want to do there. So we'll go ahead, let's save this. So we have guidance now. And you can see this tractor default has one assignment. This guidance is unused, okay? So if we go to active set, and we click on active run pages, we go into here, these are the ones we're actually using. Okay, so let's say, hey, we're planter summary, we're not even planting right now. We can delete that. Trash can, yep, we want to delete that one out of here. Planter details, we can move it up or down. We could copy it here. Let's just delete it out or edit it with a pencil. I don't know what I just deleted, but I think it was the wrong thing. And then we can go down here to add a page. And so here, our guidance one that is unused, we'll go ahead and select it and add it to this list, and we'll save it. So now our active run pages are 3. And so we go back to our home page. Here's our normal page we were on before. And come on, oh yeah. And so here's our new page we just made with a couple of maps and our client farm field over here, and then our tractor page. Okay, let's see if this works. No, it does not want to work still. So let's go back into menu, applications, and layout manager. And we also have our shortcut bar. So you kind of see how that works, where we set home pages here. So you can have pages set for a combine, a planter, a tillage tool, a tractor, whatever, sprayer. Have them all in here, and then just select whatever ones are pertinent to what you're doing for your active run page set. Okay. We can also go here to shortcut bars, and we can edit this bar on the bottom. So let's say, hey, I don't want help. It's on all the other pages. We can delete that out. You select it, hit the minus sign, it'll delete it out. And then we have a plus, so we can go in and add one. Let's go to applications, and let's do section control. Let's go into this other one, and sure, turn automation. Let's turn that on. Okay, so we can save, and let's go back to our home page, and there's our turn automation and our section control. All right. So home page is a lot more configurable. You can actually just click and drag to swipe them on your screen if that's an easier way for you. And then the bar on the bottom. So Is there anything specific anybody else wants to go over? Like, there's several different things we can touch on, but I don't want to keep everybody till 5 because I have stuff I need to get done besides that. But I could probably talk that long. So if you have any questions or want to see something a little more in depth or see something again, go ahead and chat or unmute yourself and or just if you're tired of my voice, unmute yourself and just let us know. Want to go over what's beneficial to you. So everybody was bored enough to sleep, or I covered everything perfectly, or I just confused everybody. One of the three. Nothing, Gina?
Had trouble with the acre counter, figured out.
Acres.
The acre counter.
Yes, acre.
Acres and field acres.
Okay, so for an acre counter, what we have is there's actually 3 acre counters on this screen.
And how to reset them without clearing it.
So if we go into menu here and we go into applications, so in here, if we go down to the bottom, we have work monitor and we have work totals. Okay, so 2 different things. Our work totals are going to be for this particular field. Okay? And then our work monitor is going to be an actual just a counter. Okay, so that is something that we can turn on and leave on if you're doing custom work and you want to know total area or whatever. You can turn it on and leave it on. Or if you want to know how many acres you harvest over the whole season, just turn it on, leave it on. And you don't have to reset it. Now this work totals for the fields, you don't clear that. That just clears automatically when you actually change fields. Your work monitor, your A and B counter, they will clear down here on the bottom. You hit this arrow pointing to a 0, and it's going to clear all of those values out, okay? So let's say like you have a test plot and you want to know how many acres it is. You can go in there and you can record, like reset it before you start the test plot and start from 0 there. So then back on your home page here, yeah, on the home page, it depends on which icon you select when you're setting up your home page, whether you're selecting work totals or work monitor as to which one comes up on your home page. And so then here we have 2 that are just work monitor. So if we click on that, we can change our reading. And so we can look at actually from the machine, or we can go to work monitor. And then we can select, hey, I want counter B to show on here, and I want this to be total acres. And then this one down here. And so you can see on the top there, you can see on the top, it's counters B, and that's how many acres. We can go here to this one, change our reading, go to work monitor, next, and we want this to be counter A and our total acres. We can hit OK, so counter A is 0, counter B is 0. You do not clear it out in here, okay? So you go back to menu, applications, and you go down to work monitor, to work monitor to reset it, okay? So that's how you clear it out. They make it to where you have to go in the menu so you don't accidentally clear it out. But that's how you clear those out. Does that make sense? Are there any more questions? So like let's see here. For the home pages, we can take these ISO buttons instead of having to go into here every time to go to your Starfire, go into the planner. I don't think I have that in here. Yeah. To go into the planner, we can set those on this page here. So when you go to Layout Manager and edit a page, we can actually go into ISOBUS, and the receiver doesn't have one to put on there, but your planner will have modules that you can throw on your home page. So. All right. Unless there's any other questions, we'll go ahead and may stay on the line a little bit, but we'll go ahead and just want to thank you for coming. And again, this is all recorded, so we'll get it posted to the website, send an email out. And if you have somebody else that needs to watch it, or if you just caught the tail end here, you can go ahead and watch the whole thing. So I just want to thank you. And like I said, go ahead and unmute or chat if you have more, but we'll go ahead and head out, and won't be back unless somebody asks any questions. So thank you very much.